Hey there! Have you ever wondered how the global economy works? How do all the countries, markets, and businesses interconnect? What makes the price of a loaf of bread rise? Or how does the stock market impact your day-to-day life? It may sound complicated, but don't worry. We're here to break it all down in simple, easy-to-understand terms. By the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer understanding of how money flows between countries, what makes economies grow, and why global events like wars, trade policies, and technological advances affect you in ways you may not even realize. Whether you're new to economics or just want a refresher, this video will give you everything you need to understand how the global economy functions. Let's get started. Section 1. What is the economy? An economy is like a giant machine made up of people, businesses, governments, and natural resources. It's how we all produce, distribute, and consume goods and services. In simple terms, the economy is the system through which goods, like food, electronics, or cars, and services, like healthcare, education, or entertainment, are made and traded. It's a global system, meaning what happens in one country often affects other countries too. Now let's explore the essential components of an economy. Goods and services. These are the products people buy and sell. Goods are physical items, such as food, clothing, and cars, while services are things people do for others, such as teaching, healthcare, or entertainment. You can think of goods as tangible things, and services as intangible tasks. Production. This refers to the creation of goods and services. It involves three essential factors of production: labor, the work done by people to create goods and services. Labor includes not only workers in factories, but also those in offices, healthcare settings, schools, and other industries. Capital, the tools, machines, and technology used to produce goods and services. For instance, the machinery used to build cars or the computers used to write software are part of the capital needed in the production process. Natural resources, the raw materials that come from the earth, like water, land, minerals, and oil, which are used to make goods. For example, oil is a natural resource used in energy production, while fertile land is used to grow crops. Distribution. Once goods and services are produced, they need to be distributed to consumers. This could involve shipping products globally using transportation networks or selling directly through online platforms. It's like the middleman who ensures that the right goods reach the right people at the right time. Consumption. This is when consumers, you and me, buy and use goods and services. Consumption is the end result of an economic process, the very reason economies exist in the first place. When you buy a coffee, go to a movie, or pay for a haircut, you're contributing to consumption, which drives economic activity. Types of economies. The type of economic system a country adopts determines how the resources, like land, labor, and capital, are managed. The most common economic systems are capitalism, socialism, and mixed economies. Capitalism. In capitalist economies, the production and distribution of goods and services are largely owned and operated by private individuals or corporations. The goal here is profit maximization. Capitalism tends to encourage innovation and competition, but it can also lead to wealth inequality, where the rich get richer while the poor get poorer. Examples of capitalist economies include the United States, Australia, and much of Western Europe. Socialism. In socialist economies, the government owns or regulates the production and distribution of goods and services. The aim is to reduce inequality and ensure that everyone has access to basic services such as healthcare and education. In theory, socialism seeks to distribute wealth more evenly across society. Countries like Cuba and North Korea have adopted forms of socialism. Mixed economy. Most modern economies are mixed, meaning they incorporate aspects of both capitalism and socialism. For example, in the United States, businesses are privately owned, but the government provides public services like healthcare and education. This system tries to balance the benefits of free markets with the government's responsibility to provide social safety nets. Why the economy matters. The economy impacts every aspect of your life, from the price of groceries to your job. The economy dictates much of how society functions. A strong, growing economy leads to job creation, higher wages, and improved living standards. On the other hand, a weak economy can result in unemployment, poverty, and economic instability. For instance, during times of economic growth, people may see their wages rise, allowing them to spend more on goods and services. Conversely, in times of recession, businesses may cut back on hiring or even lay off workers, leading to increased unemployment. The state of the economy affects your standard of living, job security, and overall well-being. Section 2. Money and currency. Money is the tool we use to buy goods and services. It's much more than just coins and paper bills. Money serves as a store of value, a medium of exchange, and a unit of account. In simpler terms, money allows us to measure the value of things and exchange them without having to barter, which would be pretty inconvenient. For most of history, people used various forms of money, like gold, silver, or shells, but now we mostly use paper or digital currency. In modern economies, money is created and controlled by a central authority, like a central bank, which oversees its supply and use. How money flows in the economy. Money flows through an economy in what is called the circular flow of income. Here's how it works. Households. You and everyone you know are part of a household. You sell your labor, or work, to businesses in exchange for wages, and you use those wages to buy goods and services. Households are the primary consumers in the economy. Businesses use the labor provided by households to produce goods and services. They then sell those goods and services to households and other businesses. Businesses are the producers in the economy. Government. The government collects taxes from both households and businesses. It then spends this money on public services, such as healthcare, education, defense, and infrastructure. The government can also stimulate or slow down the economy using fiscal policy, spending and taxes, and monetary policy, control over the money supply. Financial institutions. Banks play an important role in the economy by providing loans to businesses and individuals. This helps businesses expand and allows households to make big purchases, like buying a home or starting a business. Financial institutions make sure money is accessible for people to spend or save. Currency and exchange rates. Each country uses its own currency, like the dollar, euro, or yen, to trade within its borders. But what happens when you want to buy something from another country? That's where exchange rates come in. Exchange rates tell you how much one currency is worth compared to another currency. For example, if the exchange rate between the US dollar and the euro is 1 USD equals 0.85 EUR, it means that for every US dollar, you can get 0.85 euros. Exchange rates are influenced by factors such as interest rates, inflation, and economic performance. A country with a strong economy often has a stronger currency because people want to invest there. Section 3. How countries trade with each other. International trade refers to the exchange of goods and services across national borders. It's the reason why you can buy products like smartphones from China, coffee from Brazil, or cars from Germany. International trade is a fundamental part of the global economy, as it allows countries to access products they cannot produce themselves, or that would be more expensive to produce domestically. Trade helps promote economic growth by increasing the availability of goods and services, improving efficiency, and encouraging specialization. Without trade, economies would be limited to what they can produce within their borders. Why do countries trade? Countries trade because no one country can produce everything it needs or wants. By specializing in the production of certain goods, something called comparative advantage, countries can focus on what they do best and trade for the rest. This helps economies grow by increasing efficiency and productivity. For example, while the United States might be good at producing airplanes, it may not be as efficient at growing coffee. On the other hand, Brazil excels at coffee production. So the U.S. trades airplanes for coffee, benefiting both countries. This trade is beneficial because it allows each country to focus on their strengths and get the goods they need at lower costs. Trade agreements. Trade agreements are formal arrangements between two or more countries to allow the exchange of goods and services under agreed-upon conditions. One well-known trade agreement is the North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, now replaced by the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, which allows for the free exchange of goods between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Such agreements reduce tariffs, taxes on imports, and promote trade between countries, helping economies grow. Section 4. Inflation and deflation. Inflation is when the prices of goods and services increase over time, meaning that money loses its purchasing power. Imagine if your weekly grocery bill used to cost $50, but now it costs $60. That's inflation at work. It can happen for various reasons, such as increased demand for goods, demand-pull inflation, or rising production costs, cost-push inflation. Inflation can lead to higher prices across the board, from food and housing to transportation and entertainment. This impacts everyday consumers, as they need more money to buy the same things they bought previously. How is inflation measured? Inflation is typically measured using a metric called the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. The CPI tracks the price changes of a basket of common goods, like food, transportation, and housing. If the cost of this basket increases over time, it indicates that inflation is happening. The CPI is used by governments and central banks to determine whether the economy is experiencing inflation, deflation, or price stability. The CPI helps policymakers make decisions about interest rates and fiscal policy. What causes inflation? Inflation can be caused by several factors, including demand-pull inflation. When demand for goods exceeds supply, prices rise. This often happens in a growing economy, when consumer confidence is high and people are willing to spend more money. Cost-push inflation. When production costs rise due to higher wages or raw material costs, businesses raise prices to maintain profit margins. For example, when the price of oil increases, the cost of producing many goods and services rises, leading to higher prices for consumers. Monetary inflation. When there is too much money in the economy, people have more to spend, which increases demand and raises prices. Central banks may inject more money into the economy to stimulate growth, but this can also lead to inflation if not carefully managed. What is deflation? Deflation is the opposite of inflation. It's when prices of goods and services decrease over time. While this might sound good, it can cause problems for the economy. When prices fall, people may delay purchases, expecting even lower prices. This can lead to decreased demand, lower production, and increased unemployment. While inflation is generally seen as a sign of a healthy economy, deflation can be dangerous. In extreme cases, it can lead to an economic depression where falling prices cause a vicious cycle of reduced consumer spending, lower wages, and further price declines. Section 5. The role of governments in the economy. Governments play an essential role in the economy through policies that regulate businesses, manage inflation, and provide public services. They also manage the economy through fiscal policy, government spending and taxation, and monetary policy, control of money supply and interest rates. Governments aim to keep the economy stable and growing by managing inflation, unemployment, and the overall financial system. They use tools like taxation and public spending to regulate demand, while central banks control money supply and interest rates to stabilize the currency. Fiscal policy. Fiscal policy involves government spending and taxation decisions. When the economy is in a recession, governments may increase spending to stimulate demand for goods and services. Conversely, during times of high inflation, they may cut spending or raise taxes to reduce the money circulating in the economy. Government spending can include building infrastructure, providing healthcare and education, and investing in research and development. By increasing public spending, governments can stimulate demand in the economy, leading to job creation and growth. Monetary policy. Monetary policy is the control of the money supply and interest rates by a country's central bank. Central banks, like the U.S. Federal Reserve, use monetary policy to control inflation and stabilize the economy. By lowering interest rates, they make borrowing cheaper, which encourages spending. By raising rates, they make borrowing more expensive, which slows down inflation. Monetary policy plays a crucial role in managing the economy's growth as it directly impacts the ability of consumers and businesses to access credit. Section 6. Global financial systems and institutions. Financial markets are platforms where buyers and sellers exchange financial instruments like stocks, bonds, and commodities. These markets help allocate resources efficiently, allowing capital to flow to businesses that need it to grow. Financial markets are critical to the functioning of the economy. They provide a way for businesses to raise capital for expansion and for individuals to invest in assets that can provide returns. The stock market, bond market, and currency market are key components of the financial system. Stock markets. Stock markets are places where companies sell shares of ownership in their business to raise money. In return, investors receive a stake in the company and have the potential to earn money as the company grows. Examples of major stock markets include the New York Stock Exchange, or NYSE, and the NASDAQ. Stock markets play a significant role in the economy by facilitating investment. They allow investors to buy and sell shares in companies, which helps companies raise money for expansion. Conclusion. So that's a detailed look at how the global economy works. From the basics of supply and demand to the complexities of global trade and inflation, we've covered a lot. While the economy may seem complicated, breaking it down into smaller pieces makes it much easier to understand. The economy impacts every part of our lives, from the goods we buy to the policies our governments implement. Whether we like it or not, we're all part of this massive, interconnected global system. If you learned something new or have questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who might be interested in learning about the economy. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more in-depth explanations of complex topics.